Now we have our interview with head coach Mike Bloomgren.
Mike Craven, Republic of Football here with Rice head coach Mike Bloomgren. Coach, how is it going?
It's going great, man. It's been a great camp. I'm having a blast and excited to be in our first game week.
You are the longest tenured FBS coach in the state going into year 7. How does it feel to be the old man in the room, and kind of what is different about the job in year 7 than in year 1?
To be the old man in the room, I don't know how to answer that. I think I'm still just somebody that tries to help this game advance. And if I've got a good suggestion for the room, hopefully we get a chance to talk about it and advance it. Something that helps players, something that helps coaches, something that helps the game. But in terms of how the job is different in year 7 than year 1, I don't know if your show's long enough for those conversations. It's different in every way. Different expectations, a different football team. Early on there, I felt like everything was a battle. Everything was a battle. It was a battle to make people understand what this thing needed to look like to operate as a championship program. And now we're at a place where we've got great help from our president, from our board of trustees, from our athletic director, and our players certainly understand what it takes.
How important is that back end support from presidents, from ADs, from professors, just to have that all in alignment?
I think that alignment is critical for anybody to advance their program. And I think that's always been true, but certainly with the way college football has evolved in the last couple of years. Again, like for year 1 of NIL 3 years ago, we weren't able to participate. Like it wasn't something our school was going to do. And then, got a new president and got everybody to understand it's adapt or die right now in the modern world. And got our donor base there to understand like it's something we have to do. It is the new price of playing big time college football. And again, like you don't have to like it. We just have to do it.
Mike, this is a dumb question, but I've always wondered as a coach at Rice, do you ever have to watch what you say to the team and examples you bring up because they're so freaking smart?
No, but their minds are like traps, right? Like they are going to remember everything. And what prepared me for Rice is spending 7 years at Stanford with the same kind of student athlete. And so in that realm, like I'd say something, I'd be like, we're doing it this way. And they're like, that's not what you said on March 23rd of 2011. And you're like, come on, guys, and so they do remember everything for better and worse. Smart group of guys, great group of guys that work so hard. But because of that, our systems offensively and defensively and special teams, we can have the kills and alerts and ways to get to optimum plays. Really, the first part of intellectual brutality is using the strength that is their big brains.
And going into this season, I know you're getting your team ready, but maybe the biggest project, at least in the last 12 days, is the turf that y'all had to redo on the field because of Hurricane Beryl. What has that been like for y'all? I think it was August 8th. It was deemed unplayable, and now you're playing a game on it August 31st.
Yeah, Carter, that was exciting. And yeah, Hurricane Beryl made it hard for the Owls to fly in a couple ways. We took our bubble and put it in storm mode, but it ended up taking the bubble to the ground. And so we lost the indoor capability. The air conditioners weren't in good shape there, all kinds of problems with the bubble. And then, you get on the turf, and just because of all the flooding, the pad had moved. And so I'm like, okay, let's pull it up and put a new pad down. They're like, yeah, coach, once the pad moves, the field stretches and you really can't lay it back down. So incredible that we were able to get that done. From the time the turf was ripped up till us practicing on it last Thursday was 12 days. And so we all know, like we've seen new turf take 3 or 4 months, as was the case with ours the last time we did it. And just to have the commitment of 2 crews and a Rice alum really leading the charge. And this new pivot turf is incredible. It's like you could putt on it. You could also sleep on it. It feels like a Tempur-Pedic mattress, but when you put cleats on it, it gives you a very, very good playing surface. So I'm not doing an infomercial for them. I'm just telling you, like being on it 2 times so far, I couldn't be more impressed with the surface and certainly in the company's commitment to get it done so that we could play this home game on the 31st.
I've been dealing with a roof repair situation. It's taken much more than 12 days. So if you have that number, I will definitely take it. You mentioned the big brain situation. I was down there on Wednesday of last week talking to EJ Warner, and he said one of the reasons he came to Rice was how complicated the offense is and how much they put on the quarterback. What do you think what is the secret sauce to having so much NFL alumni there in Rice? It just feels like there's a lot of family members with connections to the pros.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And whether it's the McCaffrey connection, whether it's, in this case with Kurt Warner, and they've told me this, so I'm not speaking for them. It's like, hey, they can relate. They understand the concepts that some of the new air raid stuff, like it doesn't make sense to them. They don't have the answers they're used to having. In ours, we can sit there and say, oh yeah, hey, if you get this look, hey, get us the 358 and give this signal to the receivers. And they're like, yeah, that's what I would have done, And so I think that's the relatability of our systems on offense and defense is just a comfort level for those guys who played in the NFL and watching our coaches teach it. Again, I'm so blessed to have the staff that we do. And I just love the way these guys work with the kids, care about them on and off the field, but the way they teach and the way they demand is what I think is a little different at our place than maybe some across America.
EJ mentioned that he didn't get a TV until last week. He was there for 5 months, no television, bed on the floor, not even a frame. Kind of, what is he like? I mean, he just feels like a football junkie that was maybe born to just watch film.
Yeah, I don't know how to expand on that, Mike. You hit the nail on the head. That's who this kid is. Now, again, as I talked about at media days, there's some things that as I've gotten to look inside EJ and watch him relate to his teammates and some of the things he organized for the team this summer, whether it was his love of pickleball, escape rooms, going to see a movie a week with these guys and loving the 4D theaters, that the 4D theater, he is a movie buff. So he does have that component. Usually won't watch anything before 2000 is what I've been told. But then again, he's got some history that he can talk you through with some earlier ones too. So I'm not sure exactly where the line is drawn, but in any case, if you can get this dude to compete in pickleball or spike ball or even mentally in an escape room, like he's in. So he's a competitor. And then again, when he's not getting an opportunity to compete, he's going to be watching film, preparing for the next opportunity to compete.
What are his movie reviews like? What's his film criticism?
So do you know the movie that came out in the summer? That was like the end of the world. It was, I don't
Leave
know.
the World Behind.
I think
Leave
so.
the World
Yeah.
Behind, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So, he was just like, oh, it was this. And we compared it to I Am Legend. Cause again, I haven't seen the movie, but just seeing it in 4D apparently was awesome. And the team loved it. And so he'll give some good movie reviews. I gotta follow up. I gotta watch these ones he's seen and see if I agree with the reviews though.
And EJ Warner replacing JT Daniels from last year. JT Daniels and Luke McCaffrey were a huge connection, but maybe the biggest replacement you have to make is Daniel Domi, the gummy worm guy, who is now at Texas A&M. Who is stepping up in Daniel's absence?
When you lose somebody that's of that magnitude, you can't replace them with just one person. So we've got a whole team in the strength room. We got a new nutritionist that's doing a lot for our student athletes right now, as well as Hans Straub's team. We've actually got a former player, George Nyakwo, that you guys may remember, that now is assisting with the strength staff and getting into that biz. He's playing a big integral role with that in practice in terms of making sure the gummies go to the right people.
Week 1's coming up. Does it ever get less exciting than when you first had a week 1 as a player?
No, I don't think so. Like I can already, I can't peak too soon. That's what I have to keep reminding myself. Like Saturday will get here when it's supposed to. And for right now, let's just make sure we're doing our process. Let's make sure we worry about what's important today. And I talked to the team about it so much, I'm actually talking to myself as well.
What are you like on game day? Some coaches are nervous wrecks. Some coaches are balls of energy. What is Mike Bloomgren like on a Saturday?
David Shaw was great for me. 7 years with David Shaw chilled me out a lot. And so I'm a lot better than I was. I was one of those players that was super juiced and, peaking way too soon, way before kickoff. And I probably did that as a coach too. I probably got tense and made people around me tense. Now I hope what I am is a calming force and somebody that can just keep the process moving and make sure there's no obstacles for our players or coaches on game day and get that thing kicked off and then make a few good decisions and let our coordinators do their thing and ultimately the players make us look smart.
Coach, you mentioned your time at Stanford, and you've really coached everywhere from high school to college to even the NFL. There's a lot of people that say, hey, the work-life balance in the NFL is way better than college, but I know you can dispel that having worked with the New York Jets. Like, is the work-life balance better?
Okay, so the work-life balance at that time in the NFL, and certainly being in a Belichickian system with Eric Mangini and the way that we worked, like your first gift when you got there was an air mattress and some Jets gear. And so like you kind of understood what the deal was going to be like. Plus my role, I was an offensive QC. I knew the deal, but I slept at the office Monday through Friday. and my wife would pick me up on Fridays. So yeah, I mean, you're talking about some real workload in the NFL. And then by my last year, we were there under Rex, but we were really still doing things much the same under Brian Schottenheimer on the offensive side of the ball. So it's still pretty much a grind. I talk to people that are in the National Football League now, and there probably is no better work-life balance than the NFL. And the length of the season does seem eternal when you talk about the third week of July to now a second week in February, Super Bowl, or whenever that thing's going to be. That's a long season. We all know that. But there is nobody calling you when you're on vacation. All my friends that just got in the NFL, that's what they say. They're checking their phone to see if it still works, and obviously in our realm, you lay in bed next to your beautiful wife and text 18-year-old boys all the time. So that's where it's different.
But how have all those experiences, like coming up in the New York Jets and being at Stanford, how have they made you a better coach now at Rice?
What I hope is that I'm a summation of all those great coaches I worked with. Even if you go back to Florida State under Bobby Bowden, my time at Alabama under Dennis Franchione, and some of the things that he was able to do in making everybody in the building understand that they have a role in helping us win on Saturday and getting them all pulling the rope in the same manner. To Eric Mangini learning situational football with the Jets, to Rex coming in and just really bringing a locker room together, all the people from different backgrounds together so well. And then to my time at Stanford with Dave, where he just created such a good environment that coaches and players wanted to be in the building all the time. So hopefully a culmination of all those things. And even going back to my high school coach, Mike Hickman, who just made me fall in love with this game more and more every day.
You lettered in 13 sports or something like that when you're in high school. You still play golf a little bit. What's the handicap these days?
Okay, it's terrible. And I kind of gave up the game of golf when my oldest son was born. He just turned 18. So I played my first 2 full rounds of golf this summer. And it looked like I played my first 2 rounds of golf in 18 years this summer. Some frustrating moments, hit a few shots that still made me think maybe there's a future of me playing that game, but it wasn't good. We're not going to talk about handicaps.
My grandfather said that, if you're too good at bowling, that probably means you don't have a ton going on in your life. I'd imagine as a college coach, if you're too good at golf, that's probably a sign of something kind of bad. You need to be in the middle.
You need to be in the middle. And certainly if for me and what the guys on my staff that I choose, they're going to choose to get the work in we need to make sure we're doing everything we can for this program. And then they're going to go see their families. They're not going to spend 5 hours on a golf course. And again, I know some staffs are able to do it during training camp, and I know some staffs are able to do it even in season. I have no clue how. I don't know what that looks like. But in the off season, maybe I'll get back to playing this crazy little game.
Is your kid a big time football player? The 18-year-old?
He's a rising senior at Episcopal. He's and then my youngest is a rising freshman. So the senior is he's loving this game. Unfortunately, plays the worst position in it. He plays quarterback as well.
Oh man!
So it'll be a fun senior year. I'm looking forward to them opening up on Friday night and catching some of the game after our team meetings.
How are you in the stands?
Away from people. I'm pretty.
You never
somewhere between coach and dad.
Run the touchdown play,
Yeah, no, I'm not ever vocal like that. I am ultra critical of football decisions and that he makes. And certainly if I see things that I feel like he should be doing. And, but I try to keep that to myself. That's one of those things I need to keep for my pillow as well. Cause I've learned that if I want to remain in my dad role, I can't tell him everything as a coach, or our relationship gets a little strained.
Yeah, sure. Coming up this week, got an in-state game up against Sam Houston. Kind of what jumps out on them on film? And in week 1, how hard is it to scout a team nowadays with the transfer portal and just the amount of turnover on a roster?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't think it matters who you play anymore because you won't know who that team's going to be, with all the transfers. Sam Houston's actually done a really good job with retention. They've redshirted some people to put themselves in a good position for this year. I remember during COVID, going down there and watching them in maybe the national semifinals against Monmouth, and watching them perform and find a way to win that game before ultimately winning the national title. And they've made this jump to FBS. I mean, they have done a really good job. I mean, you look at their record last year, I believe 3-9, but 5 or 6 games by 1 score that they just didn't come out on the right side of. This is a good, talented football game. And then in addition to not knowing really who the personnel is, they bring in a defensive coordinator from Abilene Christian who does a good job and, actually started out giving the Aggies fits last year, if you remember that game late in the season. So bring in a more talented system or a more talented defensive coordinator with more talented players. And oh my gosh, you're just like, holy cow, like, where is this thing going to go? And so I don't think anybody in our building thinks this is playing, just some Sam Houston team making a transition to FBS. This is an unbelievable Sam Houston team. I got to make sure that our fans understand how good this team is. Like, we're fully expecting to tee this thing up and have a battle royale for 60 minutes. We just want to find a way to score one more point than they do.
What are you most excited about? Sorry, what are you most excited about with this football team for Rice?
Well, that was my question anyway, so it doesn't even matter. Just ask that.
Okay,
one.
So what am I most excited about? I'm most excited about how close they are, how much they care about each other, the work that they put in to get to this point. We have 5 guys on our team that were here in 2019 that redshirted and are now in year 6 and have watched this thing grow as much as anybody ever in our program, along with the coaches that have been here. So I'm just excited for them. You talk about goals. I mean, of course, we've got lofty goals for this team. It's the best team we've been. We're excited about everything right now. So, like, what does that look like? Well, we want to earn the right to play in a 3rd straight bowl game. We want to earn the right to compete for this conference championship. And to do that, we got to make sure that we're attacking everything every single day. Like, we can't let a day get away from us without the gains that we need. Because all the talent in the world, man, that's great. That's good. All the ways to talk things are great and are good, but they're nothing without the work. And the good thing is these guys have been giving it to us as a coaching staff. They've been giving it to us day in and day out in training camp. I'm just so pleased with who this team is and the leadership on it.
One of those 6-year seniors is Josh Percy, and we've written about it extensively, how he's been contacted by WWE recruiters. Is there anything you see in his future, like that he could be a good wrestler one day?
Yeah, I think first off, he can be a really good football player, and I hope he gets a shot at the National Football League. We're trying to get him that, and he understands, like, he's had the scouts' attention for going on 3 years now, and he knows he's got to have a really productive year because he's got all the physical tools. Then he's going to graduate with an MBA from Rice University. That's pretty cool for your future as well. And then to have this NIL deal with the wrestling, oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, Percy, like, I joke around all the time. Like, dude, if I looked like you, I'd never wear a shirt. Like, he is absolutely chiseled. Like, we called him the mannequin for the first 3 years he was here. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's a bright future for Josh Percy. I hope it involves football first.
All right, Coach. We appreciate your time. We know week 1 is a busy one for everybody. Good luck this season, and we'll be checking in with the Owls.
Man, I appreciate you. Yeah, like, just the thing that we've got going right now at your employment area is hooting intensifies. And let's just make sure everybody around there is saying it. Hooting intensifies.
Hoot, hoot.
Hooty, hoo, hooty, hoo.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.
You too.